Hello and welcome back to Focus Atlanta. Thanks so much for continuing to watch. In this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about rails to trails. I'm here with Brandy Horton.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, this is an exciting time. It's springtime. People want to get out and walk and enjoy the trails, especially here in Atlanta with this fantastic weather. What do you want people to know about rails to trails?
Well, first of all, congratulations to the city and the new extension on the Atlanta Beltline. That's really exciting. If I understand it, just opened recently and just more progress on that incredible asset. But, I think at this point this spring, something to think about is that there has been 40 years of Rails to Trails Conservancy working to connect trails all across the country. And in the 1980s, there was only a handful of multi-use trails on the ground. And now today, there's over 42,500 miles of multi-use trails. And Georgia is such an example of that progress. You have 35 rail trails. You have the Atlanta Beltline, which we just talked about, but you also have just other exemplary trails of the movement, like the Silver Comet Trail, which connects to the Chief Ladiga Trail, one of the first cross state line trails in the country coming out of Georgia, really pushing forward incredible trail development for the entire southern region. And so I think this is a moment to be proud, get out there, experience the trails, but also just be really proud of all of the work that Georgia has done to make walking and biking more accessible to more people.
I think that one of the things people don't realize is how much design has gone into it, like how many of the trails kind of intersect, and so that you can, start on one trail and you kind of could end up on another. Those kind of things are always really impressive to me as I'm walking on some of these trails. What do you want people to know about what we have here in Georgia?
Well, it's so intentional. And I love that you raised that because I think most of the time people find a trail, they love the trail, they think it's really fun. Maybe it's introduced walking and biking to them in a new way or a different way. We hear from people all the time that they hadn't biked since they were a kid and then they found the trail and now it's, part of what they're doing all week, every week, and making their bodies healthy and getting out in their community. But there's so much intentionality that goes into that. And there's so much advocacy. There are so many decisions that get made that inform whether or not a trail happens, like the Atlanta Beltline, like the Silver Comet, like the dozens of trails that exist across the state. And, that includes, do we have the funding to pay for the trail to be developed? Is the trail going to go to the places that we want to go? Can we take these two trail segments and connect them so that you have a more seamless experience, whether you're using that trail for transportation or you're using that trail for recreation? And so there's a role for all of us in that. And I think that is what this moment is about in Georgia and across the country, of lifting up the stories of how trails make a difference in our lives. This infrastructure is more than just a day outside. It delivers quality of life. It delivers economic opportunity. It delivers affordable transportation for so many people. And so for us to share our stories of how trails make a difference, it sends a really powerful message across the country to decision makers who in DC right now are thinking about how we might be investing in this infrastructure for the future. So I encourage people to share their stories with us on social media at Rails to Trails, hashtag Rail Trail, and that will help us capture the stories, put those stories into the national dialogue about how trails make a difference.
I love that. And I've got to admit, when to your point, sometimes you go to the ones that you know, right? The ones that are closest to your neighborhood, the ones that you've been to. But I was, when I was recently introduced or reintroduced to Silver Comet, I kind of found different things that I didn't expect. What would you tell a first timer, someone who, maybe didn't really do trails or never really been on any of them? What would you tell them about enjoying the spaces that we have?
Well, and I love that experience where you found something new too, because I think trails are constantly evolving. They start and then they grow, and then new businesses show up or new connections into different neighborhoods show up, and there's just always something new to explore. I would encourage folks to download RTC's Trail Link app. It is an incredible resource. It has maps, it has information about the trails, user reviews, so that whether it's your first time in a space or you haven't been in a while, or it's something you do all the time, but but maybe you didn't know that there was this cool park here or this other amenity. TrailLink will give you all that information. You can put it on your phone. It's geolocated so that you can kind of figure out what's happening around you in real time. It's an incredible asset and it's free to use. So we really encourage people to have access to that so they can discover more trails near them all the time.
Brandy, thank you so much for making time for us here in Atlanta. It was a pleasure to meet you.
It was so nice to be here. Thank you.
All right, guys, the weather is getting beautiful. I know some of you are, stuck into doing the same old thing, maybe like I was, but go try a different trail. Go try a different place, a different area that you've never been to. Rails to Trails has a website where you can figure out what would suit you best. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to this week's episode of Focus Atlanta. I hope to see you next week here on CBS Atlanta.